every boatyard visit, when you start doing the bottom, it means there's light at the end of the tunnel. And it is literally a tunnel when you have a catamaran. And there's the light, and it's the water.
It's time! Let's do it!
Flammable liquid. It smells not only flammable, but inflammable. That's not right. I feel inflamed, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, we know. We should be wearing masks. But we only do this once every 2 years, so it's fine.
And hazmat, or whatever those suits are. Tyvek?
Yeah. Look, I mean, we've done 3/4 of the boat, and that's all I have on me. I'm fine. I'm fine, people. I'm a little defensive. Here's what we're using. That's the only reason we turned the camera on. Let's show you what kind of paint we're using today. Oh, never
You
mind.
can't even see it.
Here we go. We had never heard of this before. We like to use new paints every time just so you guys can see how they work. PPG ABC 3. It was one of the better priced ones here in the boat store at the boatyard. So I looked it up. And it turns out it's got a really good reputation. And it's kind of on the level with some of the higher end, like Trinidad SR and Micron and some of these others. But it's quite a bit cheaper. This wound up being, so 1890 TT is like $275 a can. If I'm remembering correctly, our Trinidad SR in the US back when we did Cecilia was like $400 a can US. It's a good price, and if you look it up and try to find people that have used it, it gets very good reviews. They just don't market it. It's not one of those brands that they, you can see by the way the can looks. I mean, that's a boatyard paint can if you've ever seen one. But they use it a lot around here, obviously, and it's got a good reputation, so that's what we're using. It's going on really nice.
Yeah, one can did like 1.5. Probably more than 1.5 of the hulls.
We bought 3, knowing that we might wind up having a 4th, but the store's just like right there. If we decide we need more, it's pretty easy to go get it. And if we use our boatyard card, because we're in the yard here, you get 5% off, which
It's not nothing.
not nothing.
Yeah, drink that paint.
Mm-hmm. I like to sit it as close to the tray as possible, so if it any over splash, gives me that little extra kick. Picks up where the caffeine leaves off.
We can do it! It is time. The grand unveiling. Let's get this tape off. Whoa, she's gonna look so nice. All right, I need 2 hands to get this done faster.
Alright, I moved some of the scaffolding just so we can get a better look at her, because she looks nice. Can't move the basketball hoop though. That's got to stay until the very last moment.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's keeping the river sane.
Yeah, buddy. The interesting thing is, we've had a little bit of a debate about the stripe that comes right along that hull to deck joint. I had a bunch of extra stripe from when we originally did it, and I had enough to do this whole side, and of course about 2/3 of another side, maybe a half. But the removal of the rub rail and the filling and fairing and painting and the polishing up of the top, we kind of like the other side better. Let's go look at it again. There is with the extra stripe, and there is without the extra stripe. I think that looks pretty sweet, to be honest. Our plan had been to, we're going to order a few things once we get to Grenada and have them shipped in, and we probably would have ordered another roll of that. I think it was 2-inch silver tape, just that specific color. I don't know, we're kind of leaning toward just taking this one off. It just looks really nice. I just had assumed that without that rub rail, it would look odd or awkward without something on there. But honestly, I think it looks more natural without it, so. It's nice when that works out that way. It's just one more look at her. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's nice when we get that payoff. Finally. Whew. All right, y'all. Well, we are headed down the home stretch, or at least the third base, something like that. Not sure if my baseball analogies are quite on point enough today, but I do know what my point is. My point is that we are about to actually try to test these motors out for real. It is Saturday morning, and we are scheduled to scheduled to splash on Monday. So, we're getting down to it, man. Yeah, this port motor felt so good to get it in there. Obviously, not have it sitting outside anymore. Officially, it's on the boat, all that kind of stuff. If you break all the little things down to individual items on the list, they're all individually easy. But every little thing has to be taken care of, obviously. And even though this is the almost identical MD-22 as what came out of there, it's a newer version, and so it's put together just a little differently in minor ways. We had a bad main fuse in the motor over here on the port side, the new one. And it was the one thing on that engine that didn't look good. It was rusted. Like, both the poles were all rusted up, and it was just this little simple plastic sealed fuse. Everything else on the motor is like beautiful. So I looked at it, I suspected it before we ever tried it. And sure enough, the other day when I plugged the panel that came with the motor in and gave it a little turn, it didn't do anything. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to get a good fuse for that once we get back to Grenada. No place around here had the right size fuse, so I had to, close that gap. I hate doing that, but when I get to Grenada, we'll put 2 brand new ones in both sides. And then last night when I hit the key, it bumped. We weren't ready to start yet, but I confirmed that all the connections work. And that was the other thing, I had to get the electrical connections right. They had done some really kind of goofy things with how the cables were run on the previous engine. Who knows how those evolved into what they were, but I took out a couple extraneous cables and got things run properly, I hope. I had to get a new battery for down there, so now we have new batteries all the way around. They all match. Yeah, it's just been kind of a lot of ticky-tack stuff. And then getting the shaft couplers and seals on, it's been quite a few steps. It feels like, drop the motor in, and then maybe a day of putting things together. Anyway, that was my very long-winded, as usual, way of saying we're finally like this close. This morning we're going to run them. I went and got a little splitter valve for our hose so that we can supply water to the water intake and has a valve to turn it off and on. So that's what's going on. I'm going to go fill up some coolant, and then we're going to test a motor. Hopefully too. And did I mention my injury? I tried to slice my own knuckle off a couple days ago with a utility knife. I was slicing through a hose that sliced way easier than I expected. It's usually the other way around. I'm usually like struggling with something, and that's when I cut myself. But I must have like hit bone or damaged some other things, because it still just throbs and hurts. And if I use my other fingers on this hand, it hurts this one. That's made things complicated, because I needed to go up the mast to do a couple things that I'm probably gonna have to put off, because I don't think I can climb the mast with that. One more thing that has kind of made this home stretch just a little bit annoying, but I couldn't imagine getting out of here without hurting myself at least once. It's not very tight.
It's okay, it'll just spray water everywhere.
We've never done this before, but there's a couple of methods. One is a big bucket of water that you put your intake hose into to feed water through the coolant system. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, we're not in the water. Maybe you just joined us. The other option is to run a hose straight into your intake, and you can't do that until the motor's running, because you don't want to flood the motor. Yeah, so we've got a hose hooked up here. I bought a little valve to make it easier. The guy next door was running his, and he says he gives it just a little bump just to get the, oh yeah, it's gonna leak out case. That's okay though. Just to get the impeller wet. Now, obviously this is something we're doing just to test the motor. We're not gonna run it for half an hour or anything. But once we hopefully get the motor going, then you turn this on so that it's pushing water through. That's the idea. I'm just, right now, we have the control panel and the cable that came with the new engine. And we're going to try it first and theoretically get everything running. Then we'll try the cable that leads over to our current controller, which has all the other gauges and stuff on it. We'd really rather use that one. So, on. Gauges come on. Alarm comes on. Preheater.
Okay, well, it started.
Yeah.
Did we learn anything?
Not really. I wonder what that battery warning is. It was blinking. I wish it wouldn't spray so damn much so we could just like think. I mean, I guess I could fill up a bucket and we'll see how fast it drains a bucket, so it's not doing all this nonsense. Would that be better?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's
how
try
fast
it. Well, now we got to start. I'll do that. That would make me feel a little bit better, so it's not just spraying water everywhere.
Okay.
But it started.
Yay!
I mean, it started like right away.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Crazy.
Sure.
And that's a very good positive step. But why would that battery alarm be going off? If we're not getting charged back out of the alternator, maybe, or something. All right. Well, I'm gonna put it in a bucket of water, and we'll start it again, and then that way we can also make sure that this is drawing.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
First step, success.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Not something I've ever done before, so kind of winging it. So this is the third step for that engine compartment. And this is the one that, the way ours is set up, normally has the helm platform that sits up a good 6-8 inches or whatever. When that's out, that sits on here, and then to get into the engine room, you lift up the top, and then the bottom step rotates down. But this one, let's see, it's just cracked pretty bad along here from the weight pushing down on it. I've already taken the foam step cover, the foam tread off of this. We're going to replace that with the better stuff eventually. On this side, it's really just sort of like chipped out gel coat, and so I think it's best to start from here and reinforce it with fiberglass, and then come back on this side. So I put a bunch of tape on this side to kind of keep the epoxy from running through, hopefully. I'm not going to force this back. You can push it together, but I figure the way it wants to rest maybe is better. That I will just let the epoxy fill this crack, and then put another layer or two of fiberglass over top of it. And then once that sets up, then I'll flip it over, pull the tape off, and fill all the cracks on this side with epoxy also. I've never done fiberglass before. I have seen it in YouTube videos, and I mean, if you see it in a YouTube video, I mean, that's as good as knowing how to do it, right? I've got epoxy kit, got some little mixing cups. I don't know what a little batch is. I don't even know how much I need. That's how prepared I am. I don't have anything to mix with either. What would I use?
Popsicle stick?
Popsicle stick. Like that one?
Yeah.
We were forced to go to the grocery and get ice cream bars so that I could have a splint for my finger. This looks and sounds ridiculous because, as I mentioned, I think on camera, I sliced this knuckle, and basically, if it was this knuckle, it's like a smile all the way across the top, and like it was pretty deep, and it hurt like hell. But you would think, like most cuts, once you tape it up, wrap it up, put antibiotic ointment on it, all that stuff, it doesn't hurt that bad after the next day, right? It's just, you just kind of got to be careful. This thing, it really freaking hurts still. It throbs. But there's something in there that I damaged, nerves or something, because if I bend it, it freaking hurts. That was my long description of why we had to have a fudge sickle today. It feels much nicer in this form than it does when it's in my skin after I've been cutting fiberglass. I'll never know what this is ever again. Should be the hardener. Well, one of them's a hardener, one of them's the... Feels thick.
It's supposed to be, right?
I don't know. Guess so. Will obviously look a whole lot better once I get some paint on there. Well, I think it came out pretty darn good. It's kind of fun. I'll have to do some more fiberglassing. I don't want to, but I will if I have to. Get our new gray tread on there. I think we'll be styling. Alright, well, I kind of a race against time right now because rain showers. And I wanted to wait until that, but I wanted to wait for it to get nice and tacky. It's like consistency of taffy right now, so that I can use it to glue this back on. The problem is we need to get it to sit exactly where I want it to.
Now you just have to hold it for 3 hours.
Have to hold it for 3 hours, yeah. It's not terrible. I just don't know how to get it to stay there.
It's not the worst.
No, that's not a big deal. It's just I don't want it to slide.
Mm-hmm.
And it wants to. Yeah. Once we get back, we'll sand that up and paint it. It lined up pretty good considering that I took a good bit of material out when I cut it. Used a little bit of tape to hold that thing in place while it was drying, and yep, good and solid.
It's pretty gross out today. It's been raining all day, but it's our last chance to play basketball. We're going back in the water tomorrow.